of it.
And Arnitha said she would be on too.
Yeah.
And I
see her
sent her the Zoom link. I'll send it to her phone again.
Okay. And let me turn my phone on.
Reverend Gray, I just found out we're neighbors last month.
What? It must. My dog. Was it my dogs? They didn't wake you up, did they?
No, I think I was talking to your wife actually. She was on the way here.
Well, you have to stop in over the holidays. Stop in and let's sit down and have a cup of coffee together.
Yeah, I'm in the apartment building next door.
All right. We'll talk. We'll talk offline. I love
Sounds
to
good.
sit down. Love to sit down with you. While you're waiting, how long have you been over there?
I moved there after undergrad, so 2022.
Oh, you've been there. You've been there just as long as we've been here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But wait,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute. September. So we've been here 2 years.
Yeah, so I moved in June 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we like it, and the dogs like it. They have space, and we're close to everything, so it works. It works. But
Okay.
you know what? Anything we can do, all you got, just knock on the door.
Sounds good.
All right. We're still waiting on one. Normally, what we try to do, folk, we try to give people at least 5 or so minutes, particularly board members, to get on. And somebody will probably say, I won't say who it's going to be, might be Ruby. Somebody will say, wait a minute, Reverend Gray was on before most of the other people. Pam, usually it's you, but I think somebody will say, wait a minute, Reverend Gray got on before most of the board members.
Funny you would say that, Reverend Gray, because when I saw your name, I just wondered if maybe somebody else had put it there. If Answar had made that happen. And something happened to the audio?
I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay. What happened with Reverend Gray?
I went out and came back in.
Oh, okay.
And I did that deliberately only because, like you said, most people know that I usually come in here late. So I
didn't want to disappoint.
I didn't want to disappoint anybody. So we do have a quorum. We've got 5. So let us go ahead and begin. I want to welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled meeting, date December 17th, 2024. The time is 5:06 p.m. I'm going to call the roll. Secretary Walker.
I am here.
Board Member Darm.
Present.
Board Member Gay.
Present.
Board Member Harper.
Present.
Board Member Lawson. Board Member Lewis Walls. I'm going to check again. I see Cora's iPhone. I think that may be Onitha. Pam, at some point, if you could check, because I'm almost sure that might be Onitha's cell phone. But we do have a quorum. We have 5. We have an agenda that has been sent out previously to all board members. We want to acknowledge under new business, there are 2 items to be added. Board members have received them through email. Those are the quarterly reports. They were sent for your review. When we get to new business, we'll discuss how we're going to move forward with the quarterly reports. and we will be discussing a potential public meetings tentatively scheduled for January. So those two items will come under new business. Before we begin, are there any other items to be placed under new business? All right, seeing none, could we get someone to approve the agenda with the two new business items? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's been moved by Board Member Darm. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Secretary Walker. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Nay, contrary minded, no votes. It is approved. The meeting minutes for October 30th, inadvertently omitted from October 30th meeting approval. All right, do we have the minutes for October 30th have been sent out, I believe. Is that correct, staff, the FOB staff? I think that has been sent out. Is there a motion to accept the minutes from October 30th?
So moved.
Been moved by Secretary Walker, second.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Harper. You heard the motion. You ready for the vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. Motion carries. Approval of minutes for March 25th. They were inadvertently omitted from the October 30th meeting. So we need a motion to accept the minute of March 25th. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
It's been moved by Secretary Walker. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Second.
All right, second. Seconded by Board Member Gay. All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Contrary minded, nay. Motion carries. We're down to approval of. I don't think we can approve the COB training, but COB and DFOB is all combined. So I guess we'll just say the combined training of joint training. I see that right there, JT. Joint training, COB and DFOB training session minutes. So I would suspect that I'm going to ask if you participated in the training session that you would make the motion since you were there. And I will allow anybody to second it, but I'm going to ask only those who participated in the training session if they would make the motion to accept. Someone who participated in the November 18th training session?
Motion to accept.
All right. Is there anyone can second? It's been moved by
I
Board
second.
Member Gay. It was seconded by Board Member Harper. All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary minded, nay. No nays. Motion carries. Thank you. November 3rd training session. Participant to make the motion. Did anybody participate?
Is it November 20?
November 20th. I'm sorry. Yeah. November
Motion to
20th.
accept.
It's been made, motion been made by Board Member Gay. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harper. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Contrary minded, nay. No nays. Motion carries. Training for November 25th. Participant from that. November 25th, if you participated in that training, you can move to accept.
Kanika, is that the one that you guys didn't get notified of and you watched it online?
Yeah, I didn't get notification of the one on the 25th, but they did share the video feed with us.
Okay. Barbara, is that it? The fact that Board Member Harper did view the video feed, would that constitute her fulfilling that requirement?
Attendance. Yeah, I mean, she's seen the entire everything that was presented. I don't have any reason to believe there was anything left out.
Okay. So Board Member Harper, you want to make the motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
All right, Board Member Harper made the motion. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Second by Board Member Darm. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary minded, nay. No nays, motion carries. All right. Moving right along, please excuse me if I'm going a little bit fast. 4 cups of coffee today. That's my limit for the whole week, by the way. Chair's report. It gives me great pleasure to announce that we have no longer an acting commissioner, no longer an interim commissioner. We have a commissioner for the Oversight, Department of Oversight, and we are civilian oversight. We are delighted. I had an opportunity to meet personally twice with Commissioner Dr. Barbara Milan, very accomplished candidate, very accomplished person. We had an opportunity to go over the agenda. I had an opportunity to sit with her and hear her vision of the department and her expectation. One thing that I was very pleased to hear from her is her commitment to adhere to the ordinance. And that's not to say that anybody hasn't been doing that, but I think it was good that coming out, that first meeting, and first impressions are the lasting impression, her commitment to comply with the ordinance. And so what I would like to do, I would like to ask the commissioner if she would take some time to say hello to the board members and share a little bit about herself at this time. Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to join you on this evening. I am grateful and truly delighted to have this opportunity to work with you. I've enjoyed meeting with Reverend Gray. I have also met with Barbara, and I am looking forward to our work together. I originally grew up in South Bend, Indiana. My parents, they're deceased, but they founded Faith Temple Church of God in Christ, where I grew up. One of my memorable opportunities in South Bend was to participate as a varsity debater at Purdue University. There were probably 800 to 1,000 students at this debate. And my debate partner, I'm taller than he is. He is Polish. We would walk into the debate tournaments and people would look at us. And sometimes I really did feel like they just completely canceled us out. But at this particular debate, we placed in the top 10 of 800 students, and it was publicized in the South Bend Tribune. So, the church was my foundation in terms of civic participation, in terms of being involved in the community. And from there, we proceeded on to other opportunities, including becoming the first woman to chair the board of the Ohio Community Development Finance Fund. So I would be traveling from Cincinnati, Ohio to Columbus, Ohio to meetings once a month. That was probably around a 200-mile trip one way, but I did it because of my commitment and my belief in housing opportunities, especially for low-income people. So there were lots of opportunities, and I'm grateful for those opportunities because I believe it has positioned me or contributed to me to be with you on today. I have worked with police departments when I was in Minneapolis. I was the executive director for Phyllis Wheatley Community Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And at Phyllis Wheatley there, it has the oldest continuously operating child center in the state of Minnesota. But one day, our children were out in the playground and shots were fired. Fortunately, none of our children were harmed, but it did require me to step up, convene the leaders of the North community. We were in walking distance to the police station. We had a very good working relationship with Precinct 4. Everybody came and we began to map out how we were going to work together when there were situations of violence or situations that were going to harm or contribute in some negative way to members of the community. So we did that. As an urban pioneer, when I was married, we lived inside of the city. I've always loved living in the city as opposed to living in the suburbs, but I don't have any problems with living in the suburbs. I did it one time. But the ladies of the evening would come up to our street. It was a dead-end street, and they would park their cars with their johns. So we were tired of that happening on our street. Where we lived, we had these fantastic views of the city. And what we decided to do was to keep our lights on. Everybody on the street kept their lights on, and lighting is a deterrent to crime. So that stopped. But we did other things, like cleaning up an empty lot. One of our neighbors, who used to call him the mayor of the street, because he always looked out for everybody. He could tell us who was coming, who was going, when they were coming, when they were going. So when he passed away, we named the turnaround after him. So I've had a lot of involvement before becoming the commissioner. I was working on the second floor of our building with the Community Development Administration and responsible for the auditing and execution of city contracts. So that was really an interesting experience. I had the opportunity today to meet our mayor. She's wonderful. She's very pleased about the work that is transpiring with DFOB, and she impressed upon me that she wants us to move forward. So we're thankful for that opportunity. Reverend Gray, you'll be happy to hear that we have a location for the January 14th meeting. Emails have gone out. We have CC'd you, and I know that will come up later on in the agenda, but just so that you know, everyone has been notified. We've already heard back from the commissioner of the detention facility, and she has agreed to participate in that panel discussion. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with each of you. And Barbara was very helpful for us in getting a location for our January 14th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. I'll ask the board members if there's anything you want to say or share with the commissioner. I know that this is our first outing and opportunity to meet each other, and it is virtual. But if any board members have any questions or anything they'd like to say or share with the commissioner at this time, please put your hand up or take yourself off mute, and please feel free. Anyone in particular?
Reverend Gray,
Yes, ma'am.
you know I got something to say.
Well, of course, that's why I opened it up for the board members. I could have just said Pam.
Welcome, Dr. Milan. It's a pleasure that you're here. We're thrilled to have some stability and some leadership that has a vision to move us forward. So we appreciate that. I just wanted to emphasize that for those of us on the board, we think the ordinance requires one thing, that the Oversight Division conduct investigations, that those findings be brought to us, and that we have an opportunity with all of the expertise that's on the board, and it's a very highly skilled and expert board, that we have the opportunity to make recommendations for how to improve things. That has not happened once in 3 years. There are several hundred complaints, and you know about the deaths. And I'm optimistic that in January, as soon as January, we will have at least one investigation conducted, and we can conduct our business as required by the ordinance. So just, I want to be clear that a lot of this other stuff is noise and paperwork and pencil pushing, but the bottom line is we want to be doing oversight, and that requires investigation. So thank you and welcome. You don't have an easy job. We'll do what we can to support you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We understand what our charge is. Our staff is ready to go. A little later on the agenda, you are going to get an update about complaints and investigations from Louisa, and she will be able to talk to you further about where we are right now. But thank you so much, Ms. Walker. I appreciate your comments.
Any other board members? Please excuse my dog barking in the back. I'm going to put myself on mute as often as I can so that you won't hear those two big German shepherds back there. Any other board members?
Hi, yes. Afternoon, Dr. Milan. Pleasure to meet you virtually. I was just curious, and I know that there's different work that's being done, but I know we recently heard news that Doug Burris is planning on doing some investigation into the CJC, and wondering if at all you'd be working with him, and in what capacity, if so.
That is a very good question. I met him briefly. I've not been informed that I would have any responsibility, but Reverend Gray identified Mr. Burris as one of the panelists for your January 14th meeting. I've requested contact information so we can extend the invitation to him, but I expect that he will be able to participate. But thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Any other board members? All right, thank you so much. And we'll hear again from the commissioner as we move through the agenda. As far as updates, Board Member Gate, that was one of the reasons why I reached out to the commissioner based upon your communication. I think I saw your communication asking about Mr. Burris. And so because I had spoken to the commissioner about January meeting, it made sense to try to incorporate that request. And so we will talk about it later on, but your question initiated the January 14 panel discussion. So thank you very much for that. And as the commissioner said, I think we'll talk more about that when we get down to new business. We'll go into more detail. I do just want to acknowledge, as the chair, the work of Action St. Louis and the Freedom Community Center and our city defenders, the planning of the protests. And we make it very clear as Oversight Board, our job is not to engage in protests. Our job is oversight. But the actions of these groups, in my opinion, kind of shook the tree. The tree that many of us who have been on this board for the last 3 years have been trying to shake for 3 years. And we're glad that they did what they did. And I just want to make sure that I acknowledge them on the record. We've made it very clear on this board that our work is not our work alone. We have a specific task but it only works when we work in collaboration with other community organizations. Oftentimes, we have to submit information to nonprofits who do what we don't do. Many of us will get calls because people will find out we serve on the oversight board, and we'll get a call regarding somebody in jail. I get calls from people from the county jail. And what I try to do is refer those calls to the appropriate individuals and organizations. And so it's good that we have, even on our board now, people who are involved and engaged in other organizations, so that one of the things that we're able to do is refer people. And so again, I want to thank those organizations and the protesters for the work that they do. Without a doubt, they shook a tree, and Doug Burrows and some other people fell out of it. And so, like I said, we'll talk about that. I want to, as far as correspondence, and I think Luis is going to respond to this, so I won't do that. I'm trying to look at the ones we have. I did reach out, and this is on the agenda. This might be a little bit, it's the next one. I did reach out to Mr. Michael McNamara with the City of St. Louis Boards and Commissions inquiring about the 2 vacancies that we have on the board. I did express to him that the lack of a full complement of 9 in the past has posed problems for us to meet quorum. He did respond today. I asked him also if there was something that we could do as a board to help identify potential nominees for the board. He did say yes at some point during the meeting. You could mention that we are still actively recruiting members from the community to serve on the board. He said that would be greatly appreciated. The positions we are recruiting for are previously incarcerated member, and that's a person who will be nominated by the mayor, and that those requirements are spelled out in the ordinance. Shall have served a period of incarceration in a state or federal correctional institution or penitentiary, or in a county or a municipal detention facility following a criminal conviction, provided, however, such members shall not have been incarcerated in a state or federal correctional institution or penitentiary, or in a county or municipal detention center following a criminal conviction in the 2 years immediately prior to being nominated. So the requirements are in the ordinance, but it has to be a previously incarcerated person, and that person will be nominated by the mayor. The second person is an attorney member. Again, that person has to be nominated by the mayor, shall be retired or no longer practicing attorney who formerly practiced criminal law in the state of Missouri, or a judge who is retired from a Missouri state or municipal court or federal court. And so those are the 2 vacancies. For people who may not know the ordinance, each one of the board members fits a certain requirement. And so initially, we've never had an attorney, but we had initially someone who worked in the legal profession. At some point, that's something that hopefully we can revisit with the Public Safety Committee and the Board of Alderpersons reviewing that particular requirement, because in 3 years we've never had a lawyer on the board. And so the fact that now it seems to be an impediment to get somebody on the board, maybe we need to revisit that to see if something can be done. But anyway, that was a response from Mr. McLemore regarding the 2 vacancies. And if anyone on the board knows of anyone who fits those requirements, please submit those to Mr. McNamara and CC the commissioner, our commissioner, so that we can track where those persons are in the process. And so, and then we've got another communication. I think that I'm going to recommend that when we go into closed session, we discuss this because it is from a law firm and from MacArthur Justice Center. And so I'll bring this up when we go into closed session, only because it is from a lawyer and I don't want to get us in any trouble.
Mr. Chairperson,
Yes,
I have a process question for the vacancies.
yes.
I know of a couple of judges, lawyers. I know I have a connection with somebody in probation and parole, and I could get some names of previously incarcerated. Is it okay for us as a board to call them and see if they're interested, or do we just submit people we think might be interested to the mayor's office? I don't want to get in the middle of the process.
Yeah, and in the letter, because I asked if we could help, and they did say we could mention that they're still that the city's still actively recruiting. I know that many of us, Secretary Walker, have reached out to people. I know I have. I know you, others have, and in the 3 years we've done it, it's never come up as an issue, and that's why I said if we reach out to them, refer them to whatever city site they need to be referred to. And then my suggestion would be to communicate to Mr. McLemore that we've contacted this person. They are going to reach out to the city site. At least that way they know that, A, these are people that we've reached out to, and B, that we're monitoring it. And so far, no one has said that it is out of place or irregular or unethical or inappropriate. Barbara, would we be doing anything wrong if we continued that process?
I believe the process, the person, if you tell them about the appointment, they have to actually make application through
Right.
the website. So they have to take a pretty big affirmative step to do that. And then Michael will follow up. Mr. McLemore will follow up and he'll vet that completely. So I
Okay.
think he probably feels like your announcement even is going to attract people to apply.
All right. So Secretary Walker, did that answer are you okay with? Okay. All right. And so, as I said, the letter that I received from the MacArthur Center, Justice Center, I'll just bring that up. I think that we're going to have to go into closed session at some point, but that would be one reason that we would go in. And I'm thinking, Barbara, that this letter was sent to me a while ago, but it was sent to the wrong email. And I was just able to get it today. So I haven't sent it to anybody because I didn't want to send it to anybody until everybody had completed all of their training. And so I'll bring it up in the closed session and then you can kind of direct us on, and it may just be just for information's sake anyway. Okay.
Okay. I don't know the content, but I think, did you mention it was from attorneys? Because there is a Mayor's Executive Order 79 also speaks about those kind of contacts. So I think it sounds like a closed session is appropriate for that.
Okay. And I do have the executive order stuff. So like I said, we'll go into closed session and discuss how to deal with that. Update on dorm representative meetings. Do we have an update from staff? I haven't heard anything new. Louisa or Ruby, I know that the commissioner's new. I'm sure she's been brought up to speed with it. But I haven't heard anything. Has any staff received any updates on the request to meet with dorm representatives?
Reverend Gray, I will, during my report on what's going on with DFOB upcoming investigations, I like to cover that at that particular time.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. And then E, we are at submission of DFOB work plan. I know all the board members know that the work plan is part of one of our requirements per the ordinance. And I understand that we've had a subcommittee that has been working on that. And I believe that Ms. Harper is going to give us a summary of what you've been able to do thus far regarding the work plan. Board Member Harper, would that be you?
Yes, thank you, Reverend Gray.
You have the
So what we did was, and everyone has received the copy via email within the last 2 weeks. Is that correct? Okay. So then it will be definitely brief. There has been some alterations to the ones in which
You're on mute.
how about now? Oh, great. Okay, great. So there are a few areas in which I'd like to draw your attention to for additions within what you received within the last few weeks via email. Under the objectives, number 1, we'd like to include the ordinance for the policy of operations on there. Then if you would scroll down to number 2 under the quality facility inspections, under monthly meetings. Also, we'd like to include that the police, just the corner city council health directors, the new elected sheriff, things of that nature. We'd like to get a report sent for approval from the DFOB, just for the protocol agreements. If you flip the page under training, that would be number 4. We're gonna add voluntary training requests as a bullet point. And then under the stakeholder engagements, then an annual meeting with the COB as well, up under the timeline. Let me go back. On page 1, on the timeline for page 1, there was a recommendation for the second Tuesday of each month being the meeting. I don't know if that had been established, if that worked for everyone's schedule. Does anyone know?
Say that again. What date is that again?
The time for it would be the second Tuesday of each month for the meetings. I didn't get an establishment on that. However, if we could get maybe a tally of who would be available during those times, that would be beneficial. Outside of that, if we go to under the performance indicators, just to hold monthly meetings to do recommendations, just fact finding as a bullet point as well, as an addition to the other performance indicators. Outside of that, everything would be as read, as it's listed.
So could we, could you resend the work plan with those amendments so that we would have a complete work plan with those amendments, so that the board members would have an opportunity to review them prior to the January 14th meeting? I suspect all we want to do in that meeting basically is just to approve it. If we get it in advance, we review it. We've asked board members, if you have any questions, comments, additions, to submit it to the subcommittee. That way, before we get to the meeting on the 14th, the board will have received the complete document, because I believe that document has also got to be submitted with our annual oversight report. So we've got to submit that, I think, along with our annual oversight report.
Yes, I can actually get that out before the end of the week.
Okay. Because what I don't want to do, I don't want to call a meeting just to approve that. And that was one of the things that we wanted to include on the 14th. I know we're looking at doing a panel discussion,
Mhm.
but if we could, we've got 2 pieces of business for that meeting, and one of them requires public input. So if we could get that, if all the board members can, if you can resend that with the amendments, if board members have any questions, you can't vote on anything, obviously, but if you have any questions, concerns, we're asking all board members, and if you resend it and give us a deadline to make comments, additions, etc., and so that after that deadline, what you submit on the 14th is going to be the final product. Do any board members have any objection to that process? Anyone, board members?
No, I think that's great. And thank you, Kanika, for doing the heavy lifting on this. And thank you, Arnitha, for being on the subcommittee. Are we going to discuss meeting times before this meeting's over tonight? Or should we do a Google poll to see what works for people? Or has that been decided, just to give Kanika some guidance on what to put in the document?
I think we can, I mean, if we want to put it in the document, let's do it now. I think that I'm good for Tuesdays. I'm good for the second Tuesday. I think that Barbara's issue, I think Tuesday helps with Barbara's issue, but if we can see a show of hands of people who are, or let's just do this. Any board member that cannot do the second Tuesday of each month, let us know that. Put your hand up or say something. I'm good for second Tuesday of each month. Barbara's good. I mean, Pam's good. Miss Harper.
I'm good.
Board member Dom. Is James still with us out there
Should be.
somewhere? Do we still have James? Yeah, James is on there.
I think my
James-
internet's lagging, but yeah, I should be good on Tuesdays.
Excellent, thank you. Board member Gay.
Works for me.
Excellent. Board member Lewis Walls. Second Tuesday each month. Does that work for you? I know she's on. That's Cora's phone, I think. Well, we have 5. So the chair is going to make a determination that the 5 yeses is a signal of approval. So yes, board member Harper, we can go with that, second Tuesday each month. All right. So we're clear about the process dealing with the work plan. Again, to all of the board members who participated on that subcommittee, thank you very much. Again, we are moving forward, y'all. All right, commissioner's report. Commissioner, I'll turn it over to you now.
Vision. And Answar is pulling something up on the screen. I hope you can see this. So the vision statement is going to require the participation of the DFOB board. It will require the Civilian Oversight Board and the staff of the division. But when we think about a vision statement, we want to know where we're headed in the future. What does it look like in the future? What are your aspirational statements for the vision statement? So it will be our organization is unique because we have the Division of Civilian Oversight. We also have the Civilian Oversight Board. So we have two boards, but we want to have a participatory process so that everyone can be involved in putting together this vision. We need to make sure that our purpose, our mission is paramount. We want to gather perspectives from various stakeholders. We're looking at what is our focus on the future. It should be something that's concise and inspiring, specific yet flexible. So the ordinances are our roadmap for our responsibility. They provide us that direction. But what is our big picture? So we will be working with you to gather your ideas and your thoughts to shape our vision statement as we move into the new year. We also will hear from Louisa at this point, if that's okay, Reverend Gray, who's going to provide us an update on complaints and investigations.
Thank you so much. Ms. Louisa, you have the floor.
Yes, I do. I see, you can't see me. Oh, yeah, you can't see me right now. Okay, with the DFOB complaints, to date, for this 2024, we have received approximately 23 complaints. Last year, we received 35 complaints. We have not been able to conduct any investigations for full investigations at this particular point, but I will say that of the complaints we have received, the complainants have fallen into three different categories. They either been released to MDC, or they have released to home, or they are still at CJC. A small number are still at CJC. So I'll go through stating that those who have been released, they have not been forgotten. We are still moving forward with those complaints. One of the things that was a deterrent for a period of time was the fact that we had to contact the attorneys before we could be allowed to speak to the complainants, or to say the detainees at the jail. What we're also doing is starting with the ones that are being released. We don't have to contact their attorneys anymore. DCO staff has reached out to the individuals who have been released to other facilities, and we're making arrangements so we can go and interview them, so their complaints are not dismissed. Then we will be moving forward with those complaints. Those who are at home, we will make an appointment for them to come in and speak to us if they do not have an attorney. If they do have an attorney, we are also reaching out to the attorneys and documenting that we have received a complaint from their from their clients or detainees, and how we can move forward. We will be sending out 3 letters if necessary. One to let them know that we received a complaint. The second one following up if we do not hear from them, reiterating the fact that we have received a complaint, and then we'll see in a third one will be a sent certified letter. One of the other things I want to talk about that's very important is that we have received an open invitation from Commissioner Clemens Abdullah to meet with our staff on the 3rd Thursday of every month. So we will be discussing issues and coming up with a protocol on how we will handle things moving forward. One of the things on the top on that agenda will be the dorm rep meetings. We have a list that we received about 6-7 weeks ago. When we meet with her this Thursday, we'll be asking for an updated list, and we'll do what we need to do in order to make sure that moves forward. So hopefully before the next meeting, we'll maybe have a date in which we can actually tell you that she has agreed to when they're going to have a dorm rep meeting, and that the DFOB board members can actually have an opportunity to speak with the dorm reps. We're also going to be talk about the deaths in the jail too as well. So I've also, in fact, I got a call from the medical examiner's office a few minutes ago, and stating that we can sit down with them and go over all the reports that we're getting from them. We're looking at the possibility of coming up with some type of protocol with the Force Investigative Unit, that's with the police department, as well as with corrections, because the deaths are being handled by the death investigations are being handled by the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. So hopefully we can come up with some type of protocol in which we can receive the reports that they have completed and all the documentation that goes along with it. We have a staff member here that's going to be reviewing those documents. We've been blessed with having basically a full complementary staff of investigators who are definitely qualified to handle all the areas that we were not able to do in the past. We're also going to talk about the investigative process, policy and procedure. We have a policy and procedure in place. So when we do meet with Commissioner Abdullah, we will also be talking about our protocols for how we'll be handling investigations. One of the things we do not have not received is notification. Most of the time we hear about a death in the jail either through somebody from the news media or somebody call us who works in the jail and say, hey, did you know this particular thing happened? So that's one of the things that we will be addressing. So that way we have a proper way of being notified. So we're not hearing about it 2-3 days later for the news media. And any other concerns that the DFOB may have that they may want us to address during that meeting, please email us and let us know so we can put that on our agenda for Thursday, because I am very much pleased that she did reach out to us, and we will have a meeting every third Thursday with her, and we'll have an agenda. So we'll have a report that we can give you in the next meeting as to what was accomplished during that meeting. Any questions?
I only have one. When you ask, I want to make sure that with everything you're doing, and first of all, I applaud Commissioner Clemens Abdullah for making that overture. It is something we've been asking for, and I'm glad that it's finally here. That is a step forward. In that meeting, I'm particularly, as Secretary Walker said, I am specifically concerned about two things. How are they handling internal complaints? And how are they going to assist your staff in the complaints that come directly to us? How are we gonna make sure that they're transparent regarding internal complaints and they're cooperative regarding external complaints? And so I agree with Secretary Walker. That to me is more important than, if I don't ever meet with the dorm reps, that's fine with me. But that process of securing information, to me, that is what is the priority and most important. So I know that you and your team will go in and make sure that that's a priority. They know it. But again, I want to applaud the commissioner for opening that door. That's been a door that's been locked, bolted, and glued and everything else. So I'm glad. And I want to be clear, and I want for the record, because I don't want people to misunderstand what happened. I did have a meeting with the commissioner. We happened. Well, y'all know I'm spirit. I'm a preacher. But anyway, we happened to she was coming out of lunch, and I was going to another meeting, and I saw her coming out, and I spoke because I'm polite, and I asked her how she was doing because I knew she had been away, and then we began to talk about CJC. She did not run from me. Says Louisa, she didn't see me coming and go the other way. She was and we talked for about 45 minutes. It was a very candid conversation, a very open conversation. I felt that she wanted to have the conversation. I did not feel that she felt pressured at all about having the conversation. And I did say to her, I said, I wish we had maybe a one-on-one conversation 3 years ago. And I take responsibility for not reaching out and trying to have just a one-on-one informal conversation. And we both agreed that it did not serve anyone's interest, especially the detainees, for DFOB or myself personally or the commissioner to be adversaries. And so I'm glad that she did reach out. And I know DFOB staff will take advantage of that overture. And as we said, to move even further. And so I just wanted it to be clear about that meeting and what transpired and how it transpired. And I didn't seek her out. I wasn't talking on behalf of DFOB, or we just two folk met. And as fate would have it, here we are. So I just wanted to share that. And I wanted to thank that.
Reverend Gray, I will be adding in the internal complaints, because those are the IRRs. We have not received any IRRs from the jail. There was at some point in time when we were thinking about starting up the DFOB, we were myself and the then Commissioner Kim Taylor Wright were meeting with Commissioner Clemens Abdullah, and we were getting the IRRs, the internal complaints. But when the ordinance was signed off on, we stopped receiving any internal complaints. So I will add that to the list of things we're talking about. Also, when it comes down to a little bit more about what we're going to do for us getting additional information for her, that we have an issue that will have to be discussed during closed session. So we'll go more into a little more detail about that.
Okay. The DCO sunshine request, is that an issue for closed session? Is that a closed session issue? It says
It's my understanding that it may be something that we should be discussing during closed session.
all right. Well, I definitely know that the letter from the MacArthur, and they do great work. MacArthur Justice Center. Actually, it is from our city defenders, MacArthur Justice Center, St. Louis University School of Law Clinic, and right behind bars. And I do understand, and I want to be clear, I do understand the mayor's executive order number 79 that prohibits the DFOB of meeting with lawyers on behalf. We haven't met with anybody. We don't intend to meet with anybody, but I do feel obligated to at least share this correspondence with the board. And so with that being said, we need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 610 point 210
I believe that's a typo, Chairman. It should be 0 at 610.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
0
that
and
should-
0,
so
021. It should be 021.
021. Okay.
Reverend
correct.
Gray,
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
we do have a report from Ruby regarding the sunshine request.
That's
You
what I
want-
was. Yeah. No, let's do that first. Let's do that before we go into closed session. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That should be in closed session as well, Reverend Gray.
Okay. That's what I understood. So then let's do this again. I want to make sure I get this right. Miss Barbara, that's 0610.
610.021 subparagraph 1 for the purpose that's stated in your agenda.
021. Okay. All right. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
And that will recall a roll call.
A roll call. Okay.
I'll make the motion that we go into closed session pursuant to 610 021 sub 1 for purpose of discussing legal actions, causes of actions, or litigation involving a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorneys. And that after our discussion, we vote to return to open session and announce any vote taken,
All
if
right.
any.
You've heard the motion. Is there a seconder?
Second it.
Seconded by board member Darm. All in favor? We're going to take a roll call vote. Secretary Walker,
Yes.
board member Darm.
Aye.
Board member Lawson. Board member Lewis Walls. Board member Gay.
Yes.
Board member Harper.
Yes.
Chairperson Gray, yes. So we, majority, there's no nay votes. And so Antoine, could you, and we're going to ask the public to be patient with us. We shouldn't be in there long at all. I've made a commitment to get everybody out of this meeting in an hour and a half. So we're not going to be a half hour in this closed session. We're going to move through this quickly. So Antoine, could you
Yep,
point us in that direction?
all righty.
Okay. make sure I have all of my board members back. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, everybody's back. All right, everybody's back. Any public comments? Oh, wait a minute. Just for public record, there were no votes taken in closed session. Any public comments? Any public comments going once? Public comments going twice? Public comments for the third time? No. And just what I think that we might do in the future, if there's no objections, put public comments at the beginning of the after somewhere at the top, so that we're not having the public wait, half hour, 45 minutes for us to return, because when we return, they may not be there. And I want to always make sure that, as we've been saying all night, we want to be transparent and we want to be accessible. So moving forward then in the new business public meeting, as I said, the board member Gay, his question regarding Mr. Burrows caused me to think that everybody's, and as Pam said, we keep hearing all these things in the media. Public safety director said that they're going to have a public hearing. Well, DFOB didn't know anything about it. You had an alderman who said that the public safety committee was going to do a public hearing, but no one talked to us about it. No one talked to the entity responsible for oversight about a public hearing or consultants or anything else. And so I reached out to the commissioner and I said, initially my thought was to invite them to a meeting so that we could ask them questions. And then I thought, well, if we could set up a public meeting, because the public is going to have an opportunity to question us on our quarterly reports and our annual oversight reports. And so if the public, by way of ordinance, gets to chime in on our reports or ask questions about our reports, then let's do both and determine which part of the meeting we want to do what. But probably at the first part of the meeting, if we can do the panel and have timekeepers and do it within a certain amount of time. And we will be inviting Doug Burrows. We'll be inviting Dr. Maddie, Director of Health. We will be inviting the Commissioner of Corrections, who has already agreed. And we'll be inviting Director Coyle to be on a panel to discuss, again, general conditions within the CJC. And board members will have an opportunity to ask questions, and as limited as we probably will have to do, we will open it up for some public questions from the public. And then we will go into presenting or asking the public if they have any questions regarding the quarterly reports and the annual accountability report, the quarterly reports, and the annual oversight reports. I think by ordinance, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that by ordinance, we have to put them on the website. The public has got to have an opportunity to view them. And then we have the public hearing or the public meeting where they can ask questions about them, and then we can vote to approve them. Is that the process? Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. Nobody's correcting me, so I'm thinking I'm right. So we put them on the website. We make notice of the meeting for January 14th. On that notice, we will have as the agenda public comments on, or the panel discussion with these invited guests, public comments on the quarterly reports and the annual reports. Those will be the 2 agenda items only. Those 2 things. Questions, comments, criticisms, whoopings? Everybody's good with that? So we are looking at the 14th, and where, Commissioner, where's the venue and the time?
The meeting will be on the 14th, 5 o'clock at the
Yeah.
Kennedy Room
Oh.
at City Hall.
Excellent, good. Okay. All right. So,
Moving up in the order.
yeah, so we will, I'll work with the commissioner as far as the agenda, what that, because I mean, I think that realistically, we're looking at 3 hours max, realistically. If we're talking about the panel discussion and we're talking about public comments on the quarterly reports, we won't go past that. If we can keep it within, I'm saying anywhere between 2 and 3 hours, no more than 3, no less than 2. Because we're opening this up to the public. And I'm sure that once the public hears that this panel will consist of these 4 people, that's gonna draw a lot of attention. But we have an obligation as an oversight board to make sure that we are letting the public who we represent know what we know as much as we can, without Pam, without going to jail. So that's what James said. James said, yes, that is correct, without going to jail. So anybody have any questions regarding what January 14th will look like? And as I said, we'll try to work with the commissioner to make sure that we want to allow access. We want to allow transparency. We want accountability, but we don't want to be there all night. That's what I'm saying. So we'll work with the commissioner to work through that. Any questions regarding that? That takes us to, that's our new business. That takes us to, and the work plan, because the work plan will be part of the annual oversight report. So we're not necessarily talking about something separate, because I think that has to be included. So that's the scheduled next meeting, January 14th, 5 o'clock, Kennedy Room. All right, anything else to come before the body? Anything else to come before? I'm looking at everything, every single sheet of paper I have. I don't have anything else. Board members, anything? Staff, anything? Well, I kept my other promise to let y'all go before 7. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Reverend.
All right, thank you. Motion has been
Second.
made by, thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded by our board. James and Pam, all in favor say aye.
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 Contrary minded, nay. Motion carries. All right, thank you all very much. Thank you for a very productive, enlightened, Pam, a good meeting. Thank y'all very much. And
Happy
we'll talk.
holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. Everybody be safe. Commissioner, I'll be in touch with you. When is the staff out of the office for the holiday?
I will not be in the office next week.
So you'll be in the rest of this week.
Yes, and I'll
Okay,
be
so-
back on the 30th.
Okay, so maybe I'll try to reach out to you, just maybe even by phone.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay. Good night, everyone. God
Thank
bless.
you.
Be safe. Happy holidays.